An iconic part of Spurs heritage returns home. More on Adam Wharton news, and the Coney de Winter rumours still go on. Here are your daily Tottenham news headlines. Hello, welcome back to the channel. My name's Craig and here are your daily Tottenham news headlines, where I'll be going through all the latest news, rumours and reports. If you're watching on YouTube and are not already a subscriber to the channel, please consider doing so. Like, share and comment below. And if you're listening on an audio platform, please do hit that follow button and leave a review if you can. And if you can and have a spare few minutes, please vote for the channel at the Football Content Awards 2025. All of the details are below. Let's get into it. Tottenham Hotspur Football Club have stated that the famous Bill Nicholson gates have returned home to Tottenham today, and work has begun on their reinstallation in Paxton 17. Led by the same team that managed their removal from White Hart Lane in 2015. The gates and accompanying hoarding are planned for completion ahead of the new season. And on the gates, football.london write that Tottenham chairman Daniel Levy has announced that the club will reinstall the iconic Bill Nicholson gates stored since 2015 following the demolition of White Hart Lane at the new stadium this summer. The gates, deeply symbolic of Spurs heritage and legendary manager Bill Nicholson, will be placed at Paxton 17 near the ticket office and historic buildings. Levy emphasised the importance of taking the time to find the right location and working closely alongside architects and the fan advisory board. The gates will be in place before the Premier League opener against Burnley on August the 16th. TBR Football understands that Thomas Frank has not given up on the possibility of signing Adam Walton this summer. According to Give Me Sport, TBR Football sources are claiming that Crystal Palace want a 9-figure sum for Walton in a bid to ensure the midfielder remains at Selhurst Park. However, Tottenham Hotspur might not be put off by the prospect of having to pay at least £100 million for the 21-year-old, and he remains on their shortlist of targets. Frank wants Walton as a dream signing for his squad, which could further increase the Lily Whites' desire to secure the former Blackburn player for their new manager. TBR Football revealed Tottenham's interest in Walton last week, and if there was any chance of him becoming available, Spurs would likely try to explore a deal. Since at least 2023, Tottenham have been looking at Walton, and perhaps this is the moment they finally bring him to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. The report goes on to say, however, should Spurs trust Archie Gray in the number 6 role, Tottenham paid £40 million for Gray just over a year ago, so spending another £100 million this summer to potentially block his chances of moving forward in the first team, is that the right thing to do? Frank wanted Gray at Brentford, and the 51-year-old should be placing his trust in the youngster for next season, alternating between him and Rodrigo Bentancur in the midfield. TBR Football understands that Tottenham Hotspur needn't worry about missing out on Morgan Gibbs-White because of another club hijacking a deal. As TBR Football exclusively revealed, Gibbs-White wants to join Tottenham and has made that clear to Nottingham Forest owner Evangelos Marinakis. Morgan Gibbs-White rebuffed interest from Manchester City and made it clear that he wants to join Tottenham Hotspur. TBR Football chief correspondent Graham Bailey can confirm. The North London club managed to successfully pitch their project to the player, unlike City, whom he opted to turn down. Gibbs-White returned to Forest training on Monday and does not want to sour his relationship with the club any further by going on strike. Speaking exclusively to TBR Football about whether another club could hijack Tottenham's move, Bailey said, "No is the answer. He's expressed his desire to go to Tottenham. There's a reason that he's already rebuffed interest from elsewhere, including Manchester City, Newcastle and Liverpool. Had looked at him briefly, like they were aware of his situation, but all the big teams were completely aware of him, but it's clear he wants to go to Tottenham." A report from the BBC states that Tottenham Hotspur has been granted permission by City Hall to build a new women's football academy at Whiteweb's Park Enfield, despite opposition from campaigners concerned about the loss of Greenbelt land. The development includes 11 pitches and a clubhouse adjacent to the club's existing men's facility, which will reduce the environmental impacts. Although the proposal constitutes inappropriate development on protected land, City Hall deemed that very special circumstances and public benefits such as community training programmes and reduced carbon emissions justified the plan. Environmental groups like the Guardians of Whitewebs criticised the decision, citing the loss of 40 acres of rewilded land and over 200 trees. However, supporters in women's football welcomed the move, highlighting the lack of quality facilities for young female players. Enfield Council approved the project in February, and despite public backlash, local authorities and some sports advocates see it as a positive step for grassroots women's football. Campaigners say they will continue fighting to protect the park. And the Eye paper report that Tottenham Hotspur are competing with Inter Milan to sign 23-year-old Belgian defender Conny de Winter from Genoa, who is seen as a successor of Vincent Kompany. Genoa are open to selling him for 22 million, and while Bournemouth are also interested, Inter are currently ahead in negotiations. De Winter has expressed admiration for the Premier League, but is comfortable staying in Italy. Spurs haven't made a formal bid yet, but with pressure mounting from fans and Champions League demands, new manager Thomas Frank is expected to act soon. Signing de Winter at a reasonable price could also free up funds for Tottenham's main target, Adam Wharton. Well, here's my thoughts on all those stories today. Firstly, about the Bill Nicholson gates. It's great to see these gates finally coming back to its rightful home. They're certainly going to be a good place for fans to meet up and take pictures and share memories of those gates, and it's part of the old stadium, which is lovely to see, really. I'll be really interested next time I go to the stadium to see where these gates exactly are. I know they're near the ticket office apparently, and I would imagine it's near the sort of sky bridge between Lily-White House and the stadium, somewhere around there. So it'll be really interesting to see these gates, iconic part of our history, and really good to see that they've been or going to be reinstalled and have probably had a bit of a facelift as well. So that's really good to see. Adam Walton again, the rumours about Adam Walton, 100 million for this player. I've said before, this is a too high a fee for me. I think £100 million getting Spurs to pay that. I mean, hey, who knows? We seem to be spending money at the moment, or wanting to spend money. Whether that's due to investment or whatever, that's a discussion for another day. But we're obviously looking at spending money. Are they going to spend £100 million on a player? Yes, with Premier League experience, but still so young. Is it a bit of a risk? Obviously, that's the value to Crystal Palace of the player, so they're going to want to hold on to him. As most clubs would, to be honest, with players that are important to their squad, like Walton will be to Palace. So let's see how that pans out. I'm not sure £100 million though. Look, Spurs could surprise us all. Who knows? But I could see us going for somebody like Douglas Luiz or Paulinho instead, because it's going to free up a bit more money to spend in other areas which we so desperately need. Morgan Gibbs-White, again, nothing really further to report on this one, but it does seem that the player obviously wants to come to Spurs. He doesn't want to sign a new deal from, as far as we know, at Forest. I think this one still gets done. It's just a case of Tottenham getting round the table with Marinakis and trying to get them to release the player and get a deal done. Does that mean Spurs are going to pay a bit more for the player? You could argue, why should they? What's the point in having a release clause if they're not going to actually stick to that release clause? It's a bit messy, let's be honest. But let's see how this one plays out. Hopefully he'll be our player within the next week or so. The Whitewebs development, that's really good for the women's team. Obviously opposition building on Greenbelt land, never like to see that, but we know it goes on. There's certainly areas around where I live that have been built on that were classified as Greenbelt. But if this is going to improve the women's facility, Spurs do seem to do things well, and if they take down trees, for example, they'll plant others somewhere else. This sustainability thing, they're very big on that. So I'm pretty sure that Tottenham will be doing the right thing, but it'll be really good to see a dedicated women's football facility for Spurs in the future. Whitewebs, I think that was a golf course actually. Whether it still is, some of you might know. Get down in the comments, let me know. And the Coney de Winter rumours still persist. It would be a great acquisition for Tottenham if we get De Winter. I'm not sure that the player would expressed admiration for the Premier League, but seems to want to stay in Italy. So it's difficult to say what's going to happen there with a player, but it's really good to see ultimately that the Spurs are trying to make moves in this market and signing readying our players, if you like. I'm thoroughly interested to see what our squad's going to look like at the end of this transfer window, because it's clear that the club are on the right track as far as I can see. I think we're trying to sign all the right players. Let's just see if we can get them over the line, and hopefully starting with Morgan Gibbs-White. It's gone a bit quiet on other fronts. I haven't heard many rumours about any other players, just people speculating really. So I like to bring you as much concrete news as I possibly can. But get down in the comments, let me know how you're feeling right now as a Tottenham Hotspur fan, and on all the stories in this report today. Come on you Spurs.